I'm gonna wait for others to join.
Asian time.
Stop calling it man. Okay, we're just gonna wait for others to join. I'm live now. I'm trying to figure this out. We had a bit of technical issues, but yeah. Dom, stop calling it Haitian time. Okay, so Dom is saying that I'm really bad with time management. I'm actually pretty good. Okay, I'm 10 minutes behind, y'all. I'm so sorry. First of all, no excuses, but I am gonna make a little bit of an excuse. I'm not an early bird, y'all. I don't like to wake up early.
That's the excuse.
I'm not an early bird. I'm really a late person. I had to change my stream because I had a friend just kind of last minute tell me that she's coming to the city, to Victoria. So I'm like really, I'm exhausted. But anyway, she's coming to Victoria. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Usually I do my live streams at like 10 o'clock. Yeah, 12 o'clock. But I'm really early today, so y'all bear with me. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Salut, cousine. Hi, Dom. Hi, Didi. Salut, Evo. Dom, say hi.
Hi.
My cousin said hi to you.
Hi. And
Dom's in the background.
She's keeping.
Good morning. Good morning at Chi-Town 559. Avis Smith. Hey, sis. Good morning. Good morning. We're just going to wait for a few more people to join the live.
Sorry.
That's Dom making all this ruckus. Y'all, it's early. We're both early. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Good morning. And my apologies again for being late. I'm trying to work on that. I'm trying. Okay. I'll speak French for my cousin. J'essaie de travailler sur ça. Yeah. Non, mon français est vraiment pourri maintenant. I'm gonna try to teach Dom French actually, y'all. So maybe we should make a video about that. He does need to learn a few French words. He learned Haitian Creole words, but not French yet.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Comment ça va?
Comment ça va?
You have to answer.
How is it?
Ça va bien.
I don't even know.
You see? No. I'm doing a horrible job, y'all. I'm not doing my job. J'espère. Right? Good morning, Romy. Hope you are well. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday, CFT. Hold on. It looked like a lot of y'all joined in the morning. So is this better? Let me know. Is this a better time for you guys? Or do you prefer the 12 o'clock time? By the way, y'all, it's raining back there. I don't know why I have these earrings on. I want to change them so bad, but I don't want to mess up the live stream. I'm supposed, good morning from England. Good morning. Okay, I think this time might actually be better for y'all. Y'all let me know. How are you guys doing, by the way? I'm getting my notes here. Let me kick this over. How's the military going for Dom? Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. Okay, so can I share or? Part-time? Yeah. Okay, so I do have to share some updates. Dom hasn't been on the camera giving his updates yet, but hopefully I can get him to give his updates one day. The earrings look cute on you. Oh, thank you. No, they're cute. I love them, to be honest with you, but it's just, like, when you wear dangly earrings and your ear weighs down. I prefer studs, in my opinion, or like smaller earrings. And I was going between both because I am supposed to go out after this, so, and I'm gonna change my shirt. Yeah. So at the library study, ooh, get your study on. That's right. And you're listening to me, so I feel really, really blessed. Dom, the military, somebody did ask. So, yeah, Dom is going to the military part-time now. So things have changed. I will say this. Okay, so you know, Dom's grandma passed away about a month or two ago, two months ago. And I think that for me, he's okay if I share this, by the way. Once Dom's grandma passed away, I feel like it really changed his life perspective on a lot of things. And sometimes that does happen, I feel like death kind of hits you differently, especially when it's a death of someone very close in your family and it's your first experience of having that kind of situation happen. So in case many of you don't know, Dom's grandma was like kind of like really cemented in his life. He grew up with her from the time he was a baby up until until she passed. She was very integral in their family. Like, they would see her all the time. So I think that for him, losing her kind of gave him another perspective, and he felt like, although he really wanted to be in the military, and he really like went through the process, and his mindset was to go, but I think that kind of shifted things, whereas he's looking at other options. So mainly because military was one of his dreams, but also there was another dream that he had. I can't share. I'll let him share it. That's his own business to share. But wait, what does that mean? Oh, you want me to share?
Yeah.
About full-time. Your full-time job?
Yeah. You don't have to say the branch name, but
oh. Wait, hold on, y'all. Wait, I gotta confer with my husband. I gotta make sure I'm not spilling tea. I'm not spilling tea that's not supposed to be spilled. Just give me 1 second.
No. Where I'm working right now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So then my nunchi is not good, y'all. I had to figure it out.
Oh,
I have no sense, y'all. Wait. Someone asked me. Prasanth S asks, hello, which country are? I'm in Canada, and welcome to the stream. I hope I said your name right. Prasanth S. Okay. So. Oh, you love the respect. Yes, sis, you can't just be spilling people's tea like that, man. Like, especially, I find that, like, now that I'm older, I'm trying to not have loose lips. When I was younger, I didn't have loose lips either, but sometimes, you're so excited for someone and you're wanting to spill the tea, but I let people spill their own tea now. But, yeah, so he's basically working full-time for the federal government right now, and he loves it, and it's giving him the freedom that he likes. And he might explore other options in the future, of course, with growth and everything. But so far, he's doing really well at his job. So that's what he likes to do. And I have to respect that. So yeah, he's going to go to the military part-time. He put it on pause for now. But it's not his, like, it's so crazy. Okay, that we're talking about that. What are you willing to give up is the title of this live stream. I might change it, but it's adapting to change, y'all. That's what we're going to talk about today. Like, how to adapt to change, because when you have a vision of your life and how your life is going to look, like, this was only a year ago. Y'all saw the video. Dom came in November. We went to the military office, I think the end of November. I think there's a vlog where me, my dad, and Dom went around downtown, and we were showing that whole, experience. Y'all saw him study for the CFAT, for the test. You guys saw him going through the exams. You guys saw him going through the most exam. Those were the hardest exams he's ever taken. He passed both of them. And even though he got to the end of the process, he was just literally at the security check. Like, he just had one more step to go, and then he was good. And then, life hit, and life changed his perspective. And then all of a sudden, he's somewhere else. So sometimes God leads you to one place, or from one place to another place, and you're not expecting it, because we didn't expect his grandma to pass away so quickly. We at least thought we had a few years with her, and I don't know if y'all know, but Korean grandmas, they be outlasting everybody. So it was very shocking that his grandma passed away so quickly. But then you take it as a lesson, and now his perspective has changed on a lot of things, which I'm very proud of him for doing. And he's making a lot of moves, and yeah. So to answer your question, he is still considering the military, but on a part-time basis, and he put it on pause for now, and he's focused on his career and other things that we're focused on as well. Congratulations. Thank you, Jordan Taylor. You're from Newfoundland? No, I'm from Victoria, BC. I've never been to Newfoundland, but I probably should go. I really want to go. You know what? Since I've been back in Canada, I have an appreciation for our geography. I've wanted to visit different places. I haven't been to many Canadian places, which is very embarrassing. I've only, I lived in Toronto, I lived in Montreal. That's it. If it's not in Ontario or Quebec, I haven't been to many other provinces. In BC, of course, now. But I would love to go to Newfoundland. I would love to go to Nova Scotia. I would love to go to Prince Edward Island on the East Coast. I would love to go to Saskatchewan. I know there's nothing there, allegedly, but I still want to see it. I'd love to go to Manitoba. I'd like to go to different places, even the Northwest Territories. I want to see the Northern Lights in Yukon. I want to see so many different things. So look out for that, actually. We're going to do a Canadian road trip eventually, sometime in the near future. And America, too. I think I had mentioned that before. I want to visit different places like Yosemite. But I don't know, them parks. I watch too much true crime shows. I don't trust them parks. I might have to be careful. Oh, I want to go to Banff too. Banff with the Rocky Mountains. I need to go there. And it's not that far from here either. So actually, Dom and I might plan a trip to go there soon. Visit India. Bangalore is awesome. I want to visit India. You see, let me tell you what's up with India. The only problem I have with India is y'all heat waves. I can't take the heat. So let me know, when is the best time to visit India? Because I've heard that the heat is unbearable. And that's something that I can't rock with, because when I was in Korea, I couldn't stand the heat. Y'all know the song by New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain? I can't stand the heat. I can't stand the heat. Like, I'm not a heat person. Like, I hate the heat. So if you can tell me when in India is the best time to visit, then I want to check it out too. And I've heard India is a beautiful country. I'd love to check it out, especially the mountains near. I think is it the? I don't remember which mountain it is, but anyway, I wanna see it. I'll be there. Oh yes. I need to visit Montreal too. I really need to visit Montreal. I need to visit Montreal. I need to visit. I need to go. Dom needs to go to Quebec City. That's where we really want to go. I want to ask y'all, how are you doing, my Americans? My fellow Americans? How are you feeling? It's been a few days. I know it's been a rocky few days. I want to check in on y'all. I know a lot of people are not checking in on y'all, but I just want to see, how are you guys doing? Like, how are you mentally and emotionally? I know it's been, you know, you don't have to share, I know, but I would like to verify, how are you guys feeling, especially post the election, because baby, there's a lot going on. I will say this, I touched up on it on my last live stream, and I will say this again, no matter who's in control, I think that there are systems in place, and there's always checks and balances, and hopefully, the right things happen. But I mean, I can't lie to you guys, based on policy and things, there's gonna be a lot of change going on. So what are you willing to give up is the question. Because if you're the leader of the free world, or you're commander-in-chief, has a different vision for the country than your vision, what is that going to do? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Thank you for asking. Really diving into the word of God and trying to stay positive. Amen. Yup. Exactly. Yeah. Because I'm not going to lie. These are scary times now. It's so crazy how things have changed. But then again, life is a cycle, right? So there were times, the other day I watched, I'm going to see if I put a link of it in my description box. I watched a news show, and they were talking about how 1980 looked during the Reagan years, and how that electoral, like when they had that election between Reagan and I don't remember who he was against, but all the states was red. Like, just one state was blue. All the states was red. All of them. So it was so crazy how Ronald Reagan like kind of put America in that whole conservative sphere. But then, when it seemed impossible, like, oh man, it's going to be red forever, Bill Clinton took over in 92, I think. Bill Clinton was the president when I moved to, when we moved to Florida, fun fact, we moved in 1990. So Reagan was still the president, but then it transitioned over to Bill Clinton. So I was under the Clinton administration as a child. So yeah, so then it turned blue, and Clinton was there for like, he got elected for 2 terms. Barely for the 2nd term, because y'all know Monica and that whole salacious story. But yeah, and then after that, it became, after him, it became red again. Bush Jr. And then after that, it became blue again with Obama. So now red Trump, Biden, flip over to Trump. I mean, it could be anything. So my point is this, like, you know, whether you're red or blue, purple, green, whatever you are, still continue to live your life, man. Continue to trust God. Continue to make your plans. Don't let it deter you from what you got going on, because that's not going to affect it. Like, I promise you, it will affect you to a certain degree, but at the same time, you know what's going to affect you more is you not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, Jimmy Carter. Yeah, he was again. Oh, Jimmy Carter. I liked him. I thought he won. Wasn't he president though? I gotta remember that. Jimmy Carter is blur to me. Oh, Jimmy Carter was before. Okay, Jimmy Carter and then Reagan, if I'm not mistaken. That's probably it. Aw, my husband made my coffee for me because I woke up too late.
Okay, it's coffee and chat.
It's coffee and chat.
Oh,
this good. How much creamer did you add?
a lot.
It's my cheat day. It's okay. All right. So yeah, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, Ronald Reagan versus Jimmy Carter. Yeah. It was oh, good morning, Dev Studio. Yeah, it's always between red, blue. It flips and it flops. So, and then, you know, like I said last stream, even during that time, people were still opening businesses. People were still going to school. I saw someone in the chat saying they're studying. People were still moving. People were still having babies, living life. So life doesn't stop just because things don't turn out well, it may have turned out for some of you the way it should have turned out, but for others, if it's not the person that you saw being the commander-in-chief, that's okay, because, you know, things are still going to keep moving regardless. So just make sure you keep moving and you keep doing what you're supposed to do for you and your family. I feel like the best reflection of you is, you know, your branding and what you're doing is going to affect your future more than what's going on the outside, right? So as long as your family's good, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then things are going to work out the way they're supposed to. And also keep close to God as well. Y'all know I promote that on my channel. So now back to the topic. Okay, today's topic. I want to talk about interracial marriage. So this is why I was saying, what are you willing to give up? Now, I got kind of inspired to do this topic, one, because I'm in an interracial marriage as well. And two, I saw a lot of people, like, they said that after the election, a lot of people put in the YouTube search or Google search how to move to Canada. So I was like, okay, are we going to talk about moving to another country? Or are we going to talk about interracial marriage? I don't know. We're going to probably mix both of them up because I have an experience with both. And I'll probably do more of an extensive talk or conversation towards moving to another country because that alone needs its own video. But what I do want to say is that, you know, people who are planning to move, if you feel like you need to move somewhere or you want to go somewhere else or you want to be with someone from a different country, there are a lot of things to consider. And that's the reason why I want to make this video, because I feel like, especially because I'm promoting marriage on my channel, based on the research that I've done, I'm going to read this to y'all. I didn't get to read it last time. Based on the research that I've done, I've now realized how important marriage is. And not just from the religious perspective, because religiously, yes, it is very important to be married under God, but also from a financial perspective. And I used to be the type of person to be like, let people do whatever they want, which is, I still am to a certain extent though. But if I know that something might be a better option, I am going to share it, and you can make the decision of whether you want to believe it or not. But at the same time, it would not be wise of me to be on a platform and not share with you guys the benefits of something, especially if I know, and from the research I've done, that it is more beneficial to you, especially those of you who are dating and trying to get into relationships or trying to get into marriage, right? Let me read a little bit. Make this a topic in 2 parts if you can. I will, sis. I actually was, you know what's so crazy? When I talk, I think at the same time. And then I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm still gonna make this a topic. So yes. What do you think about Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada? That's a good question. Okay, I'll answer that and then I'll get back on my topic. Okay, So, what do I think about Justin Trudeau? His time is up. That's it. That's all. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. His time is up, and it's okay. You know, it's okay. He was good for. I can't say he was good. I would just say this: like, he had a lot of ambitions, and I really respect that. Because I respect the fact that he tried, and I respect the fact that, you know, because his father was a prime minister. I don't know if many of you know, but Pierre Trudeau was Justin Trudeau's father, was a prime minister in Canada. And he, you know, he was a long-running prime minister. We don't have the same thing as you guys where we have 4 years and then you're done. No, like, prime ministers can get reelected over and over again. Justin Trudeau has been our leader for over 10 years. So we have an election coming up next year. I will say this: he had a lot of ambitions, and I really appreciate the fact that he tried hard to make those happen. However, what I will say is it's time for change. It's time for change. Now, I can't tell you who I'm going to vote for in the next election because I'm still deciding, because I don't really like anybody, to be quite honest with you. I'm just being honest. Like, it's to the point where it's like, I'm like, can we get some qualified people? Like, what? All these educated people in the world and y'all can't pick the litter? Like, what is going on? But, you know, we just have to keep waiting and trusting God that, you know, the right person is going to come into office. But what I will say is that on our end in Canada, we're also in a situation where we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. Things are changing here too, and changing rapidly. And I think it's because a lot of people are hopeless and they can't even feed themselves. Everything is so expensive. Life is just not what it was pre-COVID. And you know, it's just different. It's a different time. So to answer your question, what do I think about him? I think that he had a lot of ambitions. I think that he's, you know, he tried his best, but I just also think that Canada needs a new leader. That's just it. That's all. And some people, I would also add that he's out of touch, very out of touch. And I don't think he realizes what the normal Canadian is going through. And that's hard, especially when you're at such a level. And you got to also remember, he didn't grow up in a regular, like, environment. He was already a Nepo baby, kind of. You know, his dad was a prime minister. He went to the best schools. So I don't think he can relate to the average Canadian. And unfortunately, we outnumber the elites, right? So you have to be able to adapt to people, because you can't just be, and this is a life lesson for everyone, you can't just be in a level like this and then expect to, I would say, okay, my issue with him is that he doesn't put himself in the same level as an average Canadian. He's thinking still with his mindset of an elitist. And I think that that's where the disconnect happens, because when you ask him how Canada's doing, he'll be like, oh, Canada's fine. Everybody's doing great. That is a lie. I could just go down the street and I can find 10 people, even myself, who are not doing so great. And when I say great, of course, we're privileged. We have a nice place, all this stuff, but we are also working really hard, right? So it's not like we get to keep most of our money. Most of our money goes to taxes and wherever else it goes, who knows? By the time my pay hits my account, it's already almost gone because the taxes are just gone, right? We are overtaxed, overworked, and we don't have anything to look forward to as far as, like, even if you're saving things, it's not enough, right? And it's because housing is expensive. You can't even buy a house anymore. Like, you need $100,000 used to be such a great income. You can't do that anymore. You can barely find daycare for your kids. I know so many people struggling to find childcare for their kids, and it's expensive on top of that. That's like another, like, some people are paying at least $1,500 a month for childcare and more. So, you know, you're living in an economy like that, and then you want to come and say that every Canadian is doing well. Canada has never been the best as it is right now. Get the out of my face. Like, that's what I'm talking about, being out of touch, right? So people have to learn, especially when you're in higher positions, and it could be just management. It could just be any position. You got to put yourself in the situation of the person that you're dealing with. You can't just explain, like, I can't go to someone and be like, oh, it's so easy to find a job. Of course it's easy, because I got a job. So for me, it's easy for me to preach to you and be like, oh, it's so easy. You just got to do this, got to get your resume, got to da-da. But what if that person doesn't have that experience? What if they've been rejected so many times? Or what if you can't negate other people's experiences, is my point. And not take into consideration of what they're going through, because they're going through a lot, and I think that he just doesn't realize it, and that's why I don't think he's fit to be the leader of this country. That is my personal opinion. I know I went on a tirade, y'all, but I'm very like, I'm very passionate about this kind of things. We really need to talk about the ridiculous tax rates in the West. You see, my problem with, if I talk about it, I'm gonna sound, you know, we gonna talk about it one day. You know what? One day I was thinking about starting a Patreon to talk about things that I can't talk about on social media and explore ideas that I can't talk about in social media. But yeah, like our tax rates are really high. Like we pay 13% in BC. I know places like Quebec pay 15%. I remember when I was in Quebec, and also in Quebec, fun fact, it is not under the, like, you pay federal taxes and you pay provincial taxes. In Quebec, you pay higher taxes because, you know, once in the past or even in the future, Quebec always wants to be its own country for some whatever reason. They want to be separate from Canada. So you have your income taxes from Canada, you have your income taxes from the province, and also you get taxed on what you're buying. It's just your money just is going. It's going somewhere and it's not going to you. So that's where the issue lies, right? So hopefully our next leader will be able to do some tax cuts. And you know, we could get this thing back to where it's supposed to be, because it's ridiculous at this point. Now, moving on to the topic. Sorry, y'all. I went on a tangent rant. So let's talk about interracial marriage first, and then I'll touch on moving abroad in another video, because I think this is very important. So first, let's talk about the interracial marriage rate. And then, so how I'm gonna, and I gotta look out for time. Okay, we're still good for time. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break this into 3 parts, because I realize I have to break things into 3 parts. So first part will be interracial marriage rates in US and Canada. Unfortunately, if you live in another country, I didn't get the research, but maybe I can bring it next week, because it takes a lot to like go through. I think US and Canada is just easier to find, maybe because I'm in North America, I'm not sure. But for other countries, I will look it up. But for now, it's going to be US and Canada focused, and I'm sure it could probably like apply to other places as well. And then I'm going to talk about what to look out for, or the marriage, like why marriage is financially important. That's what we're gonna hit on that. And then we're gonna talk about what to look out for if you want to get into an interracial marriage, because people are making it seem like, you know, I've seen a lot of comments, and I'm not against it at all, where some people are like, just date out, explore your options. Absolutely, 100%. I did. So I would highly recommend you explore your options. However, what I do want to say is you have to do it wisely as well. Unfortunately, everything we do has to be wisely, especially if you're this, because it's just, especially as a woman, I would say, especially when you're dealing with someone from another country, another culture, another way of life, you got to really be careful about who you marry. And that's across the board, whether he's American, Canadian, whether he's Nigerian, whether he's Croatian, I don't know, Korean. He could be whatever it is he wants to be, or he could be whatever it is you want him to be. But the thing is, you have to be careful with how you choose your partner, because it is going to affect you in the long run. And I've seen so many interracial stories that don't go the way that they're supposed to, because people have these blinders on and they think that this race is better than that race, so therefore I'm going to go after this. Or people on social media are just showing the lovey-dovey parts of that relationship but not showing the real. Sorry, y'all, I'm logging into my account because I'm trying to pull up my information. Sorry about that. But yeah, people are not really considering the real effects of these marriages, right? And also we have a high divorce rate. So my goal on this channel, and I'm only 3 years married. I'm going to be 4 years next year. I'm not the brightest in the bulb. I'm not I don't have the longest marriage yet, but I'm working through it with y'all too, so that we can kind of be accountable to each other, because my goal is to, and Dom and I are doing phenomenally well, but we want to continue that, right? Because as most of you, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard, I think the 5-year mark is usually when people get divorced. It's between 5 years. First 5 years are the hardest. Then after that, usually some people have great divorces after, it'll be a long time after, maybe I think it was 30 years after. Usually people who are, They've hit their peak, their kids leave the house, and then they get divorced again. Or that's the highest rate of divorce, I should say. So, okay, let's get into it. So let me read some questions first. You have to be strategic. Yes, CFT, amen. You have to be strategic in everything in life. Like I have so many topics to talk about. Work, there's got to be strategy. Not saying you got to be calculating and, try to do these pawns of relationships. You still got to be yourself. But work, you have to be strategic about where you want to be in work. If you want to be an employee, if you want to be a business owner, you have to be strategic about how to grow your business. If you want to stay in a marriage long term, you have to be strategic about how you're going to do it. You can't just blindly get into the relationship and expect it to just work. Like, it doesn't work like that. Both people have to be willing to put in work. Now, let's get into the statistics here. All right. So, interracial marriage rates. All right. So I got the first one from Canada. Stats Canada, 2011. Mixed unions in Canada. Somebody said I'm going to sleep. Okay, bye. This ain't for you, sir. This ain't for you, sir or ma'am. Okay. Interracial mixed unions in Canada. Okay. So in 2011, this is old, by the way, guys. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a more recent survey. I don't know if it's because they gave up. I couldn't find the most recent one. So I'll try to update this information. But 2011 should still give us an idea of where this is going. In Canada, mixed unions, that's what they call them. They don't call it interracial marriage, made up 4.6% of all married and common law couples, which is not that big. It doesn't sound that big, right? However, keep in mind that in 1991, mixed unions were only 2.6%, 2001, 3.1%, and 2006, 3.9%. So by 2011, it had jumped to 4.6%. We're in 2024. So I can only assume that it is at least 5 to 6% now, maybe more. You're my favorite. Okay. Who wrote this? I'm going to block you. 24 hours. Bye. Thank you. You see, whenever we be talking about serious stuff, I get these weird messages. It's just very strange. But he's blocked. All right, there we go. Thank you. All right, we're going to continue. So, yeah. So, then, was the interesting fact. I did not know this. Japanese people were more likely to be in a conjugal relationship with someone from another group. That was very surprising to me. Very surprising to me. That was in 2011. So I was surprised about that. I didn't expect it to be Japanese because from what I know about culturally, they're least likely to be married out. But apparently in Canada, they're not. Out of the 32,800 couples sampled, at least one person was Japanese. That's interesting. And this was in 2011, so I'm not sure if that's changed. 78.7% involved a spouse or partner who was not Japanese. So of all the Japanese people sampled, 78% of them were married or living with someone who was not Japanese. Interesting. That's very interesting. Latin Americans in Canada made up 48.2% of mixed unions. That's a large amount. And Black people, 40.2%. So we're getting married interracially, y'all. It is happening. Now, I know some people going to say, which percentage Black men, which percentage Black women? It didn't say in this one, but it did in the American one, and I'll share that. But either it's Black men or Black women or both, and I'm gonna go lean more towards Black men because I've seen more Black men in interracial marriages, 40%. If you're in Canada, you should be considering, if you're looking for a life partner, you should explore your options based off of this stat alone. 40.2% are in interracial marriages. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be with somebody else who's Black. Absolutely not. You can. And there are different cultures of black. So you can marry, like one of my cousins, you can be married to a Guinean, you can be married to a Nigerian, you can be married to somebody from Barbados, you can be married to somebody from wherever they're from, right? But the point is that at least 40% of those men, according to the statistics, are getting married interracially. So that doesn't give you that much to get from. It's not giving that much, right? So you may be forced to date out just based off of that alone. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ew. We are going to... Thank you. All right. Here we go. I love this. I love blocking people. Okay. Next. In contrast, 2 of the largest visible minority populations in Canada had the smallest proportions of couples in mixed unions. So in Canada, if you are South Asian or Chinese, you are less likely to get into a mixed union. So that's that. They marry their own, which makes sense, right? Now, nearly half of mixed unions, 49.2% in Canada, involved a person born in Canada and a person born abroad. So I fall into that 49% by default, but that was in 2011. So I'll probably be in the new sample when they have a new study, probably soon. I'm going to try to see if they're going to have one yet or have one in the future. But 49.2% involves a Canadian person and a foreign-born person. So that means that number is probably higher now. And I'm part of that cohort. Now, did I expect to marry somebody that lived in another country? I did not. But sometimes that happens, y'all. Especially if you're going to start traveling, you're going to start changing, you're going to start, doing different things, meeting different people, being in different environments. This is what happens. Life happens. As I said in the beginning of the chat, you may see life one way. I never thought I was going to get married to somebody who was not Canadian. I mean, I dated guys who were different races, but they were Canadian, right? I never in my life expected to marry someone from a different country and that was not Canadian. Like, that never crossed my sphere. It had always been to me, I thought that I would marry a Canadian, whether he was a different nationality or from a different country, didn't matter. But I thought I was going to marry a Canadian or American or somebody who was like North American, right? Because that's all I grew up around. But however, the world is changing. People are different. People are doing different things now, right? So your exposure to different people is going to be higher and increase the more that you travel, the more that you're in different environments, the more that you seek out different experiences. You can't help who you love. Hey, friend. Hi. Alana Got Questions. Y'all follow my friend Alana Got Questions. She has an Instagram page and a YouTube channel, and she's one of my dearest friends of over 20 plus years. So yeah, shout out to Alana Got Questions. Let me see if I can pin your comment so that people know to follow you. Hold on, how we pin this? There we go. Y'all can follow her. You can't help who you love. Absolutely you can't. And that's the thing. You can't help who you love. However, you have to be aware of who you love. There's a big difference, because I learned this while I was in the process, and thank God. I would say one thing that has helped me, or that did help me with Dom, is that I lived in his country. If I had met Dom and we both met in Canada, it would have been harder for me to understand his, where he came from and his culture. Not saying I wouldn't try to, but there's a difference between visiting a place and living somewhere and actually getting into that culture and understanding it. And I think that that's the reason why Dom and I have been able to have such a great marriage. And of course, we have personality differences, but to be honest with you, for the most part, our cultural differences are pretty much, they're almost non-existent. We don't argue about cultural things because I understand it. I lived there for like 6 years. So it's like everything, he didn't have to explain anything to me. I already knew, right? Just based off of the cultural experiences that I had while I was in Korea before we even met. And then while we met, of course, I learned more things, but it wasn't new to me, I would say. And I even spoke a bit of Korean too. And so I was able to engage with his parents, and it was just an easier time for me to adapt to him. Now, I'm not saying you got to go and live somewhere to understand a culture. What I'm trying to say, though, is that your your understanding and level of understanding is definitely heightened if you have that experience, even if it's for a summer. It's just really good to get immersed in someone's culture, especially if you're married to that person. Because I've seen so many relationships where people get married and then they totally kind of disregard the other person's culture and how they grew up, and then they start having issues, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't know this was going to be such a big issue. You're from, I thought because you're in Canada you changed. No, that person is going, even if they are the most progressive person that you've ever met, that psyche, they've already grown up with it. So it's hard for them to leave it behind. It still shows up somehow. It's still going to jump out somehow. You know what I mean? So sometimes, you have that experience where you'll hear something and you're like, why does he think this way? But then you're like, oh yeah, Korea. Oh yeah. I remember when I was in Korea. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I had already had that experience living there. So I kind of was like, yeah, I know how to get down. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can marry people just think so superficially when it comes to interracial marriage, and there's so much more to it than that. That's so true. Yeah, I know. I'm telling y'all, even if you marry somebody, think about it. Even if you marry somebody within your own country from a different race, there's a different culture. White Americans, I'll just use an example. White Americans are different from Black Americans, just even culturally alone. And same thing with Canadians. Black Canadians are way different than white Canadians or Hispanic Canadians or Asian Canadians. Even though we all grew up in the same place, it's so different how we grew up and what we were told and what we internalized when we were younger, what our parents told us, what our grandparents told us. It's so different. And even though a lot of people try to change that aspect of themselves, because of course, some people are trying to learn and unlearn different things, especially, when it deals with stereotypes, racism, biases. And I understand that they'll be like, I had to unlearn so many things. Or, you ever heard of people being like, my great grandmama was racist, but I'm not racist, and they end up marrying a Black person. I'm sorry, but I understand that they've changed and they're trying to learn different things, but some things are just, they were told that. So it's so much harder to overcome those stereotypes and biases or whatever you felt about people, right? So I'm just saying to say that. And not everybody has that experience, but a majority of people do. Enough people do where I have to be like, okay, I got to make a video on this, right? So let's continue with the stats. Canadians by birth with different ethnicities accounted for 25.3%. So that means that most likely, if a Canadian is married to somebody from another country, if there's a mixed union, 49% of them, so almost half of them, is a Canadian with someone who's not even Canadian. Someone from another country, a whole another country, who happens to live in Canada, or they met that person in that country and then the person's back, like, they kind of like, I guess, sponsored the person to come into Canada. And then 19.4% of mixed unions involve two foreign-born people. Okay, let's get to the US stats, and then I'm gonna get to the marriage stats here. USA, this was from Pew Research in 2017, so this is more updated. In 1967, 3% of the population was in an interracial marriage. 1980, it jumped to 7%. And in 2015, 17%. 17%. Joe's too. Hi, hey, Joseph D. How you doing? How you doing, friend? This is my friend as well, y'all. She was with me in Korea. Hey. We're just getting to statistics now. Interracial marriage, for those who are interested. 2015, 17%. That's a high jump. 1967, 3%. Of course, we know during that Jim Crow, that's the post-Jim Crow era, whatever, segregation era. So of course it was low. But as soon as they got the rights, Loving, who was the interracial marriage couple? Somebody put in the chat. I forgot, Loving versus something. Was it Loving versus the Board of Education? Hold on, let me look that up. Now I'm starting, hold on. Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna figure it out. It was Loving interracial marriage. Okay, it was Loving versus Virginia. That's what it says here. Yeah, Loving versus Virginia. This was in 1967. That makes sense. This lines up. 1967, 3%. Loving versus Virginia happened. If you guys don't know, Loving versus Virginia in the US was this interracial couple who went to the Supreme Court for the right to marry each other. Yeah. And it was made of a white woman, a white man, and I think she's a biracial woman. She looks biracial to me. She could be black. I don't know. Y'all could correct me on that. From then, jumped to 7% in 1980. So people were still like, no, we testing the waters. 2015, 17%. We're in 2024. It's probably higher than that. Now, black people married to someone of a different race in America. Black people. In 1980, it was 5%. 2015, 18%. So we're marrying out. Now, we're going to get into the stats of who's marrying out within the black community soon. Married white people with a spouse of a different race. 1980, it was 4%. 2015, 11%. It's probably higher now. Okay. Now, next, Asian and Hispanics are far more likely to marry someone of a different race and ethnicity in America. 29% of Asians have a spouse of a different race or ethnicity. 27% Hispanic. Half of Hispanic newlyweds who are immigrants, 15% of them are married to a non-Hispanic. And 3/4 of Asian newlyweds who are immigrants, 24% are foreign-born Asians. So people are getting married. A lot of foreign people and a lot of people from the domestic country, especially in America and Canada, are getting married. Now, 46% of American-born Asians are in interracial marriages. That's a high number. But Hispanic group, my Latinos, y'all big. Your group is big. 1980, you're at 8% of the interracial marriage rate. In 2015, you're at 17%. Asians, 2% in 1980. 2015, 6%. Pretty low. Well, pretty big for the Asian community, I guess, because they're the smaller percentage of the U.S. population. Now, let's get to the demographics of who within that cohort is really getting married. Is it the men or the women? Black men. Oh, who said the progress? Cecilia, she's black. Oh, she's black and Indian. Yeah, I knew she was biracial. We're talking about Loving here. Yeah, because she looked, when someone's unambiguously black, as myself. And then, when somebody got a little tinge of lightness, you got to be like, what you is? Yeah, I kind of looked, she's black and Indian. That makes sense. Okay. So, black and Asians, black men. For those of you who want to marry black men, twice as likely as black women to intermarry. We already knew that. I know a lot of you already knew that, but let's break down the stats. 24% of black men were in interracial marriages compared to 12% of black women. That's a big number, y'all. Twice as likely. So that means that they have been dating out for a long time, and more props to them. But we're lagging behind. We're not exploring our options, and I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me in the chat, what makes you scared to explore your options? What is the fear? Because if you're a black woman in the chat, what is the fear? Because the men are doing it, and they've been doing it. They've been doing it for a long time. And this was in 2015 that this research came out. Well, it was published in 2017. Hopefully they have a newer one. I'll have to look into it, but that's what I could find. And I wanted to find a reputable one. I didn't want to find just one that was from just a random website. Asian women, 36% of Asian women are married and get into interracial marriages compared to 21% Asian men. Very big, a big difference. My white folks, white men's 12%, white women 10%. Actually, not that much different. Not that much different. Hispanic, 26% men, 28% women. All right. Now, this is what was surprising. We're going to get to the educational gap. And then I'm going to get to the stats here because they all line up together. Interracial marriage rises more for those with some college experience. Why is that? Well, from what I could gather, it didn't say it in the study, but I can gather this. I think that it's because you're branching out. Hold on, y'all. I don't know what happened to my nose here. I gotta wipe it. Hold on. Sorry about that, y'all. Oh my gosh, there was something in my nose. Okay, so what I was gonna say is that, yeah, it rises for those with some college experience. Why is that? Why do college people or college educated people get more into interracial marriages than those without college education? We're gonna find out with the stats, but my personal opinion is because you're exposed to more people. When you're in college, you meet people from all over the world. And those of you who've been in college, you can attest to that, who've been to college or university. And even when I was in grad school abroad, it's like I met people from so many different countries. And it just makes you get into more different places. Like I said, different environments. You're adapting to different people. You're gonna meet people from countries you've never even heard of before. And you get to hear their worldview. So it's like, okay, for example, when I was in Korea, some of my closest friends, I'm gonna shout them out. One of them was in the chat just now. One was from Venice. Two are from Venezuela. One was from Serbia. One from Greece. I had a roommate and one of my closest friends, she's from Malawi. And then I had other friends from just all over the world. All over the world. I had people from Vietnam. I have people from Vietnam. People from Spain. People from France. All over the world. I met so many people. On top of that, Koreans. So it's like, it was just a community where you're just meeting so many different people. And of course, in college, in Canada, it's the same thing. I met a lot of people from India, people from Israel, people from so many different places. People from, who else? I think there was a country. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name. But anyways, I met so many people. I met people from Senegal. I met people from Mali. I met people from, oh my God, there was a country, I forgot it. He's gonna kill me. But anyways, I had a friend from one of them countries. But yeah, like there were so many people from different places and you just meet so many different people. Your worldview, it opens. Your worldview becomes different because you're exposed to so many people. And I think that that's what that has to do with this stat. You have a higher chance of marriage or marrying someone interracially if you're college educated. 18% of people with college experience married interracially. 19% of people with bachelor's degrees. So 18% of people with some college experience and 19% of people with bachelor's degrees and 14% less educated people married interracially. Hispanics had higher levels of education linked with intermarriage. 16% of people with high school diplomas that were Hispanics married interracially, whereas 35% with some college experience married interracially, and 46% of people with bachelor's degrees married interracially. Why is that? Why is that? Why are educated people, whether interracially married or not, are getting married? College educated people are getting married more than people with no college education. Why is that? Not just interracially, y'all. People with college education are getting married more. Hi, Romy. Hey, Little Magic. How you doing? Wait, Little Mick. I say magic all the time. How you doing? All right, so let's get to the research. We still got time. I'm gonna be on this live until probably maybe 8:39. Y'all cook with me if you can stay. Now, this is an article called "The Link Between College Education and a Lasting Marriage." How is that possible? How is that possible? Okay, so this is from America. About half of first marriages in the US are likely to survive at least 20 years. Okay? But for one demographic group, marriages last longer than most. College-educated women have almost 8 in 10 chance of still being married after 2 decades. So, this was the National Center of Statistics. They estimate that 78% of college-educated women who married for the first time between 2006 and 2010 could expect their marriages to last at least 20 years. But among women who have a high school education or less, the share is 40%. Why? Why is it that college-educated people are able to last longer in marriages. That I honestly, y'all, this was something that I like, when I went on this deep dive, was somebody had asked me in two chats ago, sorry. I remember 2 chats ago, someone had asked me to speak on Black women dating out, and also like media influence of Black women and their choices and options in dating. So that's where I started with this research. And then I just got into this rabbit hole of educated people getting married. Honestly, I didn't know this information. I'm being honest with y'all, because I just lived my life. But it's just so crazy to see that the stats cooperate with this, right? So, while more educated women have the highest chance for a long-term marriage, college-educated men also stand out. Roughly 2/3, so 65% of men with a bachelor's degree could expect that if they marry, their first marriage will last 20 years or longer, compared to only 50% of men with a high school diploma or less. In addition, men with a higher level of education are more likely to get married in the first place when compared with less educated men. We gonna speak on that. Let me drink my coffee real quick. I had to take a long sip. So, when you're dating, I think you should prioritize. I'm not saying it should be the end all be all. But remember last week we talked about standards. This week we're going to talk about what to put on your standards, especially if you're dating interracially or if you're just dating period, anyone, whoever it is. You need to ask yourself, does this person have the education required? Because the stats are showing that if he has a bachelor's degree, he is more likely to want to marry you, or he's more likely going to be marriage minded. I don't know where that comes from. I'm not sure what the correlation is. I don't know if it's correlated with education just makes you know more. Obviously, you have more knowledge. But marrying somebody with a bachelor's degree is your first step, or some college education. Because it's looking like people with high school diplomas or less, they're not faring well. They're not faring well. They don't see the importance of marriage for some reason in America. And for Asian women let's go here. Okay, there are also distinctive patterns in marriage longevity by race and ethnicity. Some of these differences could be related to educational differences among adults with different racial or ethnic backgrounds. Asian women, who are among the most educated, that was at the time of this research. It might be different now because, as we know, Black women are starting to become way more educated. So it might change. It might have changed. Don't quote me on that. But according to this research when it was done, Asian women who are among the most educated are more likely than any other racial or ethnic group to have a long-term marriage. For Asian women who were married for the first time between 2006 and 2010, the chance that they may celebrate their 20-year wedding anniversary is nearly 70%. By contrast, about half of Hispanic and white women may see their marriages last that long. And for Black women, the chance is 37%. Why? I'm going to give you guys my theory. This is only my theory. My theory is that because Asian women marry educated men. I done told y'all the standards. Last week I told y'all the standards in Korea. Those women are not playing. Okay? Even with the 4B movement, they are not playing. Okay? Somebody said, I'm sick. Yeah. Sorry about that. I think it's this, it has creamer in it. I don't know why it's giving me mucus. Sorry about that, y'all. That was so gross. But yeah, Asian women are marrying educated men. And I can attest to that because in Korea, as I've said, almost a majority of the population has a bachelor's degree. They really, really, really value education. There is no way you can get a good, it's like education is it's bare minimum. You got to be educated. Boom. If you're not educated, you don't make the cut. Unfortunately. And I feel sorry to say that. But sometimes when you have standards, you have to have a cutoff point, right? And you can't let everybody in, because it's when you start letting everybody in, it's a cesspool of nothingness, as we're seeing right now in the dating market. So if you're looking for a partner or you're looking for a mate, you might have to follow the Asian women's lead and start off first with somebody who's educated, whether it be some education or not. Some education or more is what I meant to say. Not some education or more. Among men, Hispanic men have the highest likelihood of being in a long-lasting marriage. I did not know that. So if y'all want to date out, I'm guessing Hispanic men are where it's at. Findings about Asian men were not included because the sample size was too small to be nationally representative. So Asian men too, they have long-lasting marriages, but we're going to get into that. For those who are married or were married for the first time between 2006 and 2010, about 6 in 10 Hispanic men, 62%, could expect their marriages to last at least 20 years, compared to 54% of white men and 53% of black men. Okay? So, another factor linked to long-lasting marriage is whether couples live together before tying the knot, shacking up. Talked about that. In short, couples who lived together before getting married had a slightly lower chance of having a long-term marriage than those who did not live together. Why is that? There's a problem. So this research is saying that those people who always say, we got to test it out, we got to live together, we got to test it out, I got to make sure, they're not having long-lasting marriages. You would think they would, because you would think that the time that you take to get to know each other would give you enough chance to figure out what you want and how this marriage is going to last longer, because everybody's always using the excuse that, oh yeah, like you got to test the water. I can't be a virgin. I can't do this. I got to live with him. I got to have sex with him. I got to do all that. More power to you. But the stats are saying the opposite. They're saying opposite. Romy, do college-educated men living in the countryside of Korea differ from the ones living in or near the city? Okay, so one thing about Korea, and I'm gonna have to do a research on that too. Korea, the college-educated men living in the countryside actually go to the city to get their education. So I will say this: most men and women who live in rural areas in Korea do not go to university in those rural areas. Usually they go to Seoul or another big city because the names of the university matters. So like if you graduated from the top 3 universities, so we have Seoulde, which is Seoul University. We have Koreode. Oh my God, my Korean is so bad now. Korea University. We have Yonsei University, and we have Ewha University. Okay, those are the Ivy Leagues. And then you have other ones like Hanyang and all these other schools within Seoul. But most people are trying to get into those schools. And if you can't find a school in your area, you're most likely going to go to another bigger city. So you have big universities in like Seoul, Daejeon, Busan, etc., right? So actually, to answer your question, most countryside men will go to the big city, get their education. And if there's a job, they will go back to their countryside or wherever they live in rural areas, but most likely they'll stay in Seoul. And that's the reason why Seoul is so overpopulated, because everything is there. All the jobs are there, all the opportunities are there. So you'll see a countryside boy trying to fight for the same job as an elite. But usually they end up in lower tier cities. So like they'll end up in the surrounding cities that have like the surrounding bigger cities. So and they do have different perspectives. Okay, so guys who grew up in the countryside, I will say, from my experience, this is my opinion, and if you're in Korea or you're Korean, you can dispute it if you want to. But from what I've seen when I was living in Korea, they are more marriage minded. Absolutely. But Korea as a whole is marriage minded, to be quite honest with you. Like their culture is too strong. Like they are very like you remember Confucianism, right? So they still hold that dear, even though they're trying to phase it out a little bit. But it is very rare to just have someone just living with you and shacking up. Like you will get married. Like they're still very marriage minded. And the countryside, most of the parents will save up money to get their kids to a good school and to have their kids have that same opportunity as other people, because their livelihood, like it depends on it. So if you, for example, are living in the countryside and you're not as educated, it's going to be hard for you to find a spouse. And that's why those farmers are having a hard time finding spouses. And that's why they're going to other countries to find, like, I don't know if you guys want me to do a study on that, but a lot of Korean farmers and a lot of guys in rural areas are finding women from abroad, from different countries, mostly like Vietnam. And I think it was like Cambodia, those kind of countries. Yeah. And some Russia, some Ukraine. So yeah, there's like a whole nother level of that. But to answer your question, if you don't get an education and you don't have a high education in Korea, because it's not just about having the bachelor's degree, it's about what school did you go to. They ask those questions. What school did you go to? If you got a bachelor's degree, oh, that's good. What school did you go to? Because everyone has one. So they're like, what school did you go to? And if you say some, some school in a rural forest or something, they'll be like, oh, okay, pass. Next. What school did you go to? Oh, yeah, okay. We can work together because you're going to get me to the higher level, because the point is for them to get married and to amass resources and to live a better life. So that's why most women, they're not going to marry some bum off the street. Like, they're not going to do that. They're going to marry somebody who can give them the privilege of the life that they want, right? And so they're very strategic when they marry. They don't marry for love. They marry for financial resources. Wow, understood. No testing over here. Oh, yeah, no testing. No test. No test, y'all. No test. Is there a difference between doing a marriage ceremony and not registering your marriage? Are you legally married? Yes. So you have to register your marriage to be legally married. You have to. You must. If you don't, you're not considered married. You're just considered, if you're, okay, depending on where you are living. So for example, if you get a marriage license, and this question was by Cecile Moore. If you get a marriage, if you have a marriage ceremony, your marriage ceremony only exists in your religious parameter. So in the eyes of God, you're married. But in the eyes of the law, which means Uncle Sam, or we call ours, I don't know what we call Canadian government. But according to the federal government, whichever country you live in, if you did not legally go to the justice of peace or the courts to sign the documents, you don't have the witness signatures and nothing, you are not married. Now, some people will try to bypass and be like, oh, we're spiritually married. Yes, spiritually, sure. Legally, no. So it depends on what you constitute as a marriage. Because for me, I could be spiritually married to so many different people. That's how them polygamists get away with that. In Utah, that's what they do. That's how they have these spiritual marriages. They'll be legally married to one person to reap the benefits, and then they'll have spiritual marriage with multiple other women. But unfortunately, legally, in the eyes of the law, you are not married. They're gonna be like, oh, you're just two people living together. That's it. That's all, unfortunately. Okay, let's continue. So, among women who did not live with their spouse before getting married for the first time, 57% can expect to still be married after 20 years. For women who lived with their spouse before their marriage, the probability of being married for at least 20 years is somewhat lower, 46%. Whether the couple was engaged when they lived together didn't make a difference in women's chances of long-lasting marriages. So, that goes to show you, shacking up is not going to make it better. It's not. And I know the lies have been spread that, oh, if you live together, it's going to decrease your chances of getting a divorce. That's a lie. Whether you shack up or not, stats just showed. Actually, matter of fact, if you shacked up, it's even lower, a little lower than if you didn't. Keep that in mind. And also, I will say, when Dom and I got engaged, it was so funny. Because, as y'all know, my parents are from Haiti, right? And they're very big on, like, they're religious. They're Christian, right? And I am too, but they're really, like, hardcore Christian. I'm talking about my mom would be fasting every morning. Like, I could call her right now. She'd be like, I'm on my fast. Like, my mom be fasting. My dad, really, I don't know so much about it now, but he used to be all in the church. Like, I grew up in the church Monday, not just the Sunday church. I grew up in the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that kind of church. Like, Tuesday Bible study, Thursday youth, Friday youth night, like Saturday, like I was in the church all day. If I wasn't at home or school, I was at church. And my parents are super adamant about us not shacking up, right? So when I got married, it was so funny when Dom and I got engaged, when we got engaged, because what happened was Dom was living in Mungyong with his parents, and I was living in Seoul because I was in grad school, right? And so we decided that we were going to live together in a third city because Mungyong didn't have opportunities for me to find work after school. Like when school was done, I was like, okay, I'm going to teach for a little bit or do marketing or do something, right? So I was trying to figure out my life in that aspect. And he wanted to find a city for the both of us where I would be comfortable, a little bigger city. Maybe not Seoul because Seoul was too expensive, but somewhere that was big enough where I would feel comfortable and I'll be able to, make some moves. And so we ended up choosing Chuncheon because he started applying to jobs everywhere because he was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to apply to jobs everywhere and then we'll figure it out. And so he got an opportunity in Chuncheon. Now, before I graduated, I ended up leaving the dormitory and moving with him. So we got a house together. We stayed in an apartment. Y'all, we was only together for not even I moved in with him. I think I have a video on that, by the way, if y'all want to see it. Way back when. I have a video of him picking me up and then we went to Chuncheon together. I think we moved in together in May and we got married in July. Why my mama kept calling me talking about, it's not a good optic for you to be living with your man. I'm engaged, y'all. We have the date set for us to go to the courthouse. I was engaged. And she's like, I don't think it's good. It's not good optics. Can't be shacking up. But even then, I was just like, yo, this is crazy. We were only living together for 3 months. But, in hindsight, I was annoyed by it because I was like, why is she all up in my business like that? Yeah, mom, I'm getting married. She's like, are you sure you're getting married? Are you sure? But I think for me, I was annoyed at first because I'm like, yeah, of course, he's definitely going to marry me. But I think my mom was worried because she thought that by us living together, it was going to postpone our marriage. And now that I see it from that perspective, I realize that, okay, she was right to ask me those questions. And I should have been more attentive to it because for her, she's thinking he's going to start delaying. As soon as she gets in there, he's going to start delaying or he's going to start making excuses and start postponing. But thank God he's a good man, Savannah. Well, I already knew Dom is very marriage-minded. So I knew once he said he was going to marry me, I knew it was going to happen. But, it's just so crazy because when you think of our elders and other people telling us things, they're like, you sure? Maybe you should back up. We got to actually probably listen to them. Because if Dom wasn't marriage-minded or educated, because he's very educated, then it probably would have been a different scenario. He probably would have locked me in and been like, oh, we can't get married. Oh, it's too much. Oh, it's too stressful. Or, oh, let's wait till we settle down. And then next thing you know, oh, let's wait till this. Or the next thing you know, oh, let's wait till that. So there's also that, that kind of situation where that may happen as well. So I would say this, according to the studies, do not shack up. Don't shack up. It doesn't benefit you anyways because if you're in America, remember, we talked about it, only a few states recognize common law. And if you're in Canada, they recognize it, but it doesn't work in your benefit, period. So stats back it up. This is a different research. Okay. For men, the patterns are slightly different. In this case, it matters whether men are engaged to a partner they lived with before getting married. Men who lived with their future spouse without being engaged had a slightly lower chance of a long-term marriage, 49%. So if you're not engaged and y'all shack up, he is less likely to marry you than those who were engaged first. If you were engaged first and y'all shack up, then he's going to be more willing to get married. Men who did not live with their partner before getting married had a 60% chance of celebrating their 20th anniversary. Devrilly Patel, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to block you a little bit because I don't know why you got all these messages here. You just saying hi all over the place. Hold on. I might have to time you out. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna put you in timeout for 10 minutes because I don't know why you're saying all this hi for. All right, here we go. Good Lord, LOL, right? Like, what is going on here? All right, let's continue. So, let's go to the marriage gap. This is in Canada, okay? Marriage gap. The data shows that there is a dramatic marriage gap in Canada. The wealthy are mostly coupled up, and the poor are mostly unattached. But Canadians are generally unaware of this. And I think this applies as well to the US. So remember, we are correlating marriage with education. And now it makes sense why people who are married are most likely to be wealthy, or wealthier, I would say. Marriage is a powerful wealth creator and protector against poverty, as well as a force for social mobility in children. About half of middle-class families include a married, including common law couple. In 2011, 86% of high-income families include a married couple. 86%. 86 in Canada. 86% include a married couple. In 2011, only 12% of lower income families included a married couple. That's crazy. And mind you, I have to disclose this. This research came from ARPA Canada, which is a Christian nonprofit. So I was like, these stats could be skewed because they might be biased, right? Because it's coming from a Christian source. So let's back it up with non-Christian resources. So now I went back and I was like, is what they're saying true? And it was. So then I went to an American think tank. And I also got more information with IMF Canada, International Monetary Fund Canada, both non-religious sources. So we're going to get to it. How much time we have? We still have a little bit of time. I'm going to be here till 9 o'clock. I'll be here till 9. Y'all can catch the replay if you need to. All right. So, marriage gap. One of the most important reasons we care about marriage is because of the clear association between marriage and poverty. This is from the impact of this is from the Brookings Institution. If you guys know, Brookings Institution, the title of this article is the impact of economic and technological change on marriage rates. Okay, the marriage gap. All right. Women and children in single-parent households are at particular risk for living in poverty, and indeed, family earnings for half of the nation's children have been falling over time. Okay. All right. So now, in particular, many Americans are waiting longer to get married due to opportunities for women to pursue careers outside of the home. That's true. Due to better control over the timing of childbearing and due to the ability to be more selective when choosing a spouse. That is facts. These marriages starting later in life appear more stable and less likely to end in divorce. So do not let people tell you that you're being too picky. Do not let people try to age shame you and say you hitting the wall. Because stats show that the longer you wait, the better your outcome is. Because your psyche is changing. Your frontal lobe is developing. You're getting more knowledge. You're understanding what your worth is and what you want and what you don't want. And don't let people scare you into rushing you into choosing a mate. Because it is showing here, I'm going to read it again. These marriages starting later in life, remember, due to opportunities for career, better control of timing of childbearing, and being more selective when choosing a spouse. This is from the Brookings Institution. This is not from just me just spewing this out. These marriages starting later in life appear more stable and are less likely to end in divorce. A better outcome from any perspective. So if you're late in the game, don't worry. You're okay. I got married at 35. 35. Okay? I done been hit the wall. The wall was hit at 30, according to Red Pillars. 35. Okay? Just remember that. 35. It's never too late. So don't let people rush you and tell you, oh yeah, you gotta get married now. Oh, your time is your time is clear. Of course, yes, we do have to be aware that there is a time to have kids. I understand that. Childbearing age does, the percentage does dwindle. We can't go against science. However, is it worth it for you to rush and put yourself in a situation that is not beneficial to you or your child? Or is it better for you to wait? And then, you can, while you're waiting, you can get your eggs tested. You can get your eggs frozen. Science is so advanced right now. You literally can freeze your eggs. I know it costs money, but sometimes You got to do what you got to do. If having children is such a big priority for you, freeze them eggs. Freeze them. Freeze them while you can. I know it's easier said than done, but I will say that if it's really important to you, you will save money. Because as much as I see people spending money on cars, I see people spending money on clothes, I see people spending money on trips, brunches. Y'all be having some good food in your brunches. I ain't gonna lie, I love seeing Instagram brunches and people going out to brunch and eating and all that stuff. Some of that money could go towards your egg freezing. If that's a priority to you and you're still single, freeze those eggs as soon as possible. And then take your time. Take your time. If having children is a priority for you. If it's not a priority for you, then you just take your time. Then it's okay. But I would highly recommend you get yourself to the optimal shape that you need to. And I'm taking my own advice. If you're not at the optimal weight to be having children at an older age, you need to get yourself in shape. Because it's going to get harder for you to bear children. Second, or to even, it's not even just bear children. You could probably get pregnant, but miscarriage is higher. That's true. That's a fact. So get yourself in shape. Freeze them eggs. If you want to have kids at an older age. Don't let people rush you into a relationship or marriage until you've selected your partner very carefully and you've had time to get to know that person. Or you are sure that this person is the one, but you've done your standard check. You're not just marrying somebody out of fear. Don't ever get into something don't make permanent decisions off of temporary emotions. Ever. So, continue. Delayed marriage contributes in part to the decline in the number of people married at a given time. However, it is also likely that the combination of declines in marriage and declines in economic opportunity have contributed to worse outcomes for some people, especially for children. Okay, so someone argued, so this person, William Julius Johnson, in The Truly Disadvantaged, argued that the decline in marriage and rise in single parenthood among urban blacks was, I don't like how they call us blacks in this. A side note, why they say urban blacks like that? I don't know why they call us blacks. I don't know if it's just me. I've been reading research and I keep seeing blacks. I'm like, oh, I don't know I'm not liking how this is sounding. Okay, so I'm going to switch it around. Among urban black people was directly a consequence of the declining economic fortunes of young black men. High rates of unemployment and incarceration meant that the local dating pool was populated by unmarriageable men. Unmarriageable, y'all. Let's rewind. High rates of unemployment and incarceration meant that the local dating pool was populated by unmarriageable men. And the result was that women chose to live independently, rightfully so. For men, ages 30 to 50, in the top 10% of annual earnings, so the top 10% earners, a group saw real earnings increases over time. 83% are married today. So the top 10% earners, out of them, 83% are married. Okay? 83%. For the median male worker, only 64% are married today. Down from 91% 40 years ago. In the bottom 25th percentile of earnings, where earnings have fallen by 60%, half of men are married compared to 86% in 1970. Okay, so it's showing that the more money you make, the more likely you are to be married. Women have gained more economic control over their lives. They have been offered more choices than they had a few decades ago. That is facts. All right. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. Again, before I say this, these are just statistics, okay? Now, if you do not fall into those statistics, you should be blessed and happy that you overcame them. All right? Because I don't want people to feel ashamed. This is just an educational and teachable moment to some of you who may not be aware. And for those of you who have the chance to move differently, you have the chance to do that. I'm not going to shame anyone because they made choices back in the day and they may not have known this information. That is not their fault. Okay? This channel is not to shame people and be like, oh, single mothers. Da, 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 da. No, it is not to do that, because I know many single mothers that are doing amazing, phenomenally well. And also I have people in my family that are single moms. So yeah, no, we're not going to do the shaming here. Okay. This is just statistics. Again, statistics. Children born into single parent families are relatively poorer than those born to married families, particularly those who are college educated and those with dual incomes. In a previous Hamilton Project analysis, we showed that over the last 40 years, family earnings have declined for half of all American children, an alarming trend for the nation's future. So, if you are married and you're college educated, or you're married, you have dual incomes, your kid is going to do way better than those who come from a single parent household, according to the stats. So, if you're thinking about having a child out of wedlock, you're living with a man and y'all shacking up, and you really want to have his baby, you may want to think twice about that. Matter of fact, you shouldn't be shacking up anyways. Remember, we said common law only exists in certain states. And the way that this administration is going, the trajectory that they're headed to, common law ain't going to be common law like that. I know every state has autonomy. That's true. However, again, common law states are very, very limited in America. And they're wanting y'all to get married. Just letting you know. It's going to be harder out there for single people. But don't let that deter you and rush you into something that you're not ready for. Just because you want to make more money, or because you know you're fearing the future, or you're fearing that you're not going to have enough money for this, that, and the third, or you just want to, yeah, there's so many different reasons, but don't let it rush you either. Just be strategic about it. He ain't touching this body till he put a ring. Yes, please, y'all. I'm telling you. And I know there's so many people, like I said, marriage is just a piece of paper. Remember, you could just go to my lives. A few lives ago, we've already concluded that it's not just a piece of paper. And I'm happy for you, Lil Mag. I gotta pronounce you like Lil Magmatic. Yes, that's how it should be. That's how it should be. And if you have a child, you're a single mom, and let's say you're not with your partner anymore, you can still require it. There's nothing that says that the standards can't be after. You just gotta build those standards. Doesn't matter. Oh, Lil Mama. Okay, it's Lil Mama. My bad, girl. My bad. Okay, Lil Mama. There we go. Lil Mama. I don't know why I read it Lil Magic, but I love it. Lil Mama. All right, let's continue quickly, and then I'll get to the tips for interracial relationships, because I got to get off of here at 9 o'clock. So, this is in Canada. IMF Canada. Institute of Marriage and Families. Okay. All right. So, in Canada, in the past, single parent families used to just be widows. Okay, we all know that. Now, people are choosing to be single parents. All right, so now it's so crazy, divorce rates, because they'd be like, divorce rates are skyrocketing. Well, according to this stat, the divorce rate is higher for baby boomers. Our parents are divorcing. Our parents said, we don't raise them kids. We gonna separate. I can't deal with you. Our parents are the ones getting highly divorced. It says here in Canada, as the baby boom generation aged, divorce and separation has become more prominent among older Canadians. Adults in their 50s account for the highest percentage of divorced and separated individuals, more than any other age group. So don't just look at the stats. Look at who in the stats are doing, like, whatever the stats say. Get the stats, because people are going to be like, oh, divorce rates are high. That's why you can't get married, because they're going to try to use that against you, especially non-marriage minded men. They're going to say, oh, yeah, divorce rates are high. I can't risk it. Da, da, da. I'm looking at you, Cam Newton. You want to have your little harem of women? I'm looking at you, Cam Newton. Trying to say, oh, divorce rate, I haven't found my wife yet. Well, according to the stats, it's happening more for old people and not educated people, less educated people. Older people, sorry, not poor people. Older people and less educated people. Our parents are getting divorced. Our baby boomer parents, they're tired of each other. The baby boomers are getting married. Yes, bliss, harmony, correct. The baby boomers were getting married young. You're right. And that's exactly what I feel is happening. This is my theory. They didn't have the choices we had. My mom did not have the same choice as I do, or choices as I do. My mom, in her time, it was get married or nothing. Like, you were not seen as a woman, or your value was decreased if you were not married to a man at her time, in her time. Okay? My mom got married at 24, 25. At 24, 25, I was working, and then I went back to school at 27. I was living my life. And you want to know what my mom told me? That's one thing I will say. My mama, she may not have done a lot, but she did tell me this. My mom did a lot. I'm not saying didn't do a lot, but there's a lot of advice that I feel like my mom lacked, didn't tell me or didn't warn me about, especially with dating. My parents were very, very hands-off when it came to my dating life. But what I will say is this. She did tell me, get your education first, get your certs first. Get yourself to a level where you can make decisions and you're not dependent on a man. That was drilled in my head from the time that I was younger. And it's not that my dad was a horrible husband. It's not that my dad was a horrible person, but my mom was too dependent on my father because she had to raise us. So it was like she wasn't able to pursue the dreams that she had because she was locked down and tied down. And I'm sure it was the same for my father. So now that they in their 50s or 60s, they running loose like teenagers. My parents, the other day, you can't tell my mama nothing. Like, literally, I saw her down the street. My mama is living her best life, and I'm happy for her. I love that for her. But she didn't have that opportunity to make those decisions that you have and I have. And that's why I'm saying that we have to seize the opportunities. The generation prior to us, they didn't have that choice. And a lot of people be like, well, they had that choice. Society-wise, one, they didn't have as many options with careers because it's still a very male-dominated centric society. But at least we have more options, right? They didn't have that. Being a career woman was seen as a no in society. It was like, you're left over. If you're not married, you're nothing, right? And so now that they're getting older and they're realizing that the only thing that tied us together was these kids, they running amok. Divorces. Y'all seen that Bachelor, the Gray Bachelor? They got divorced faster than any other couple we've ever seen in franchises. They don't have time for the BS. And I think that's why we're seeing more baby boomers getting divorced. Lil Mama said, and then people had to marry people in their circle. Yup. Now we can meet people all over the world, whether for good or for bad. Exactly. Okay. I'm going to break down a quick family tree real quick. My parents got married. My dad's brother married my mother's aunt. Okay? My mother's aunt, which is my mom's sister, my grandma's sister. My mom and my dad got married. My dad's cousin married my mom's sister. Okay? So, you see, it's all a circle. People would grow up in a village and then they would just date each other. Right and left. Have kids with each other. Most people in my family probably knew each other. And they have relatives that are married to other relatives from the same family. It's like two family trees just combining with each other. No options. But we have that. And that's why I'm having this conversation. I'm going to get to the interracial marriage, what you need to look out for. And then I'll delve more into it next live. But I just wanted to give y'all the stats first. Okay. Now, where was I? Yeah, the baby boomer divorce. Okay? Baby boomer divorce. Married couples seem to build more wealth on average than singles or cohabitating couples. That is because lack of exposure and education. Yep, bliss harmony, you're right. Lack of exposure and education. And let's continue to this one. Married couples seem to build more wealth on average than singles or cohabitating couples. Because when you're cohabitating, you're not combining. Most likely. Not saying everybody. There are some examples where I have a friend, she is in a common law marriage, but her partner, he's on point. I'll give him that. He's on point. They have already combined things. They already have things together. So they're good. They just don't have the marriage license. And I get it. I still say it's better to be married. But if you're combining things together, then okay, there's an exception here. But Most likely, cohabitating couples don't combine incomes. It's mine 50-50. That 50-50 split. Remember I told y'all that 50-50 is not so good in so many situations. They're not combining things together. If you're cohabitating and you're combining things together, there's a big difference. And single couples, unfortunately, you don't have anyone to combine with. So you're on your own. And this is why marriage is a wealth builder. Because once you combine things together, again, with the right person, disclaimer, I don't promote marriage to dusties. I don't promote marriage to deadbeats. I don't promote marriage to selfish people, abusers. I don't promote that. I would never promote that. So please don't come in my comments. And you guys are good, actually. You guys in my chat are amazing. But I'm saying, I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying get married to anybody. If you're with a partner who's abusive, please do not marry him. Run to the nearest shelter. Call 9. I don't know who you gotta call. Go run. Do not stay in that situation. If you're married to somebody if you're living with someone who's not marriage-minded, pack your things up and go. You might need to. He's not gonna marry you. Or at least, if you can't afford to do that, stay for a little bit, save up your little money, save up your checks, get yourself sorted out, because it's not gonna end well for you. That's what I'm saying. But okay, let's continue. Sorry, y'all. I didn't want to get preachy here. So, the percent of married families are determined more by income than age. In fact, the difference in marital status between income groups is quite dramatic. For all people in the lowest income quartile, the share of married, including common law couples, was 12.1% in 2011. So this is in 2011. I'm sure the number is different in 2024. So if you're lower income, only 12% were married. By contrast, the married share was 48.8% among middle class families. Low income, 12%. Middle class, 48.8%. And 86.3% in the highest income quartile. Why are rich people getting married if it's such a bad thing? Not the dusty part. Yes, dusty sis. Dusty, Alana, dusty. No dusties, please. Because I know people watching my live, and if they're trying to convince their girlfriend, oh, we should get married, but let him be a Tyler from Love is Blind. Let him be a Clay from Love is Blind. No, thank you. We don't need that. I don't need y'all getting married to these hooligans. No, thank you. 86.3% in the highest income quartile. So 86% higher income earners are married. 46%, was it 40? 48% middle class. 12% lower income. 12%. So lower income men are not getting married. It's the higher. So the hypergamy chicks, hypergamy women, the women that are preaching to you to be hypergamous, they're onto something. Can't even lie. They're not. And when men try to say you're going to be a gold digger, yes, because that's going to protect you and your family for generations. That's what people don't understand. You got to be hypergamous. I actually, to be honest with you, after reading these stats, I'm more on the hypergamous side. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I'm not even lying to you. Hypergamy. And hypergamy doesn't have to be making a lot, like he doesn't have to be a millionaire. But what I'm trying to say is he gotta be educated and stable. You can't be with somebody that doesn't have these two things. It's not gonna work for you. And if you can get somebody who has higher than that, that's A-okay. Now, Maclean's. This is a political magazine in Canada. Maclean's is one of the longest running Canadian news magazines. So this is a reputable source. According to a recent poll, this was in 2018, Canadians claim to be in favor of greater inequality, more poverty, and lower overall happiness. And the reason why he started with that is because people are not realizing how important marriage is. So if you don't get married in Canada, you're in favor of greater inequality, more poverty, and lower overall happiness. Earlier in this week, so they surveyed 1,500 Canadians by Angus Reid. Angus Reid is one of the top survey institutes in Canada. And they asked Canadians, how important is marriage to you? And, oh, hold on a second. Where did that go? Hold on. Sorry, y'all. I got my, hold on. Hold on, yo. Okay, there we go. How important is marriage to you? Sorry, I was getting my notes. 53% said marriage wasn't really important in Canada. Remember, I told you Canadians are more common law now. All right, they think marriage is not necessary. I beg to differ. And McLean's agrees with me. All right, so McLean's research found that many of these advantages are not present to the same degree in cohabitation agreements. Despite the fact Canadians apparently don't see any difference between two types of relationships, marriage or common law. Basically, Canadians think marriage and common law are the same thing, and I thought that too. It's very, 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 like a very myopic view of marriage. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought the same too, until I started doing the research. All right, so now, again, they quote what I quoted. 86% of households are married in the top quartile of income, whereas lower is 12% and middle class is 49%. They quoted the same study I quoted. All right, so married couples of all ages tend to accumulate in higher income brackets. Marriage is thus a marker of success and not age. So don't feel ashamed. Don't feel bad if you marry late. He just said it, or this person just said it, she or he, whoever they, them, whoever said that. Marriage is a marker of success, not age. Age is irrelevant. Okay? Not age. The authors also show the marriage gap effect on income distribution is growing over time. Inequality is exacerbated by a sharp decline in marriage rates among lower income groups. The lower your income, lower your education, less likely you are going to get married. Okay? Married couples are far more likely to pool their money into one pot and treat their combined finances as a single cohesive planning unit. This streamlines budgeting and signals a deeper commitment to family priorities. Common law partners are less likely to pool their money and display a weaker form of family commitment. That's the magazine. So marriage-minded men, family-minded men, you are going to be in a better situation than a unmarriageable men. That's what they said in that one article. Lower income men, lower education men, you shouldn't even be looking his way, according to the stats. Now, I don't want men to come in my, listen, this is statistics. Maybe you can prove yourself worthy, okay? You got to prove yourself a little bit more if you don't have the education or the income to back it up. But I'm telling you women, ladies that are watching my chat, have some standards. Trust and believe me, it will help you. In the US, so this magazine in Canada quoted the US, where the relative success of racial groups is an area of intense focus. Research by the Brookings Institution, they literally quoted everything I said, points to the success sequence as a key factor in avoiding poverty. This refers to multi-stage process of finishing high school, getting a job, getting married, and then having children. Do these steps in order, and your chances of entering the middle class or higher rise dramatically regardless of race. I'm gonna repeat the steps. This is very important. This was in the US Brookings Institute. I'm gonna put all the links in my description box so y'all can read it in its entirety. The success sequence, I'm reading it again because this is important, as a key factor in avoiding poverty. This refers to the multi-stage process of finishing high school. Got to do that. Getting a job, getting married, then having children. And I'm going to add one more. Finishing high school, going to college, getting a job, getting married, then having children. Do these steps in order, your chance of entering the middle class or higher rises dramatically, regardless of what race you are. Recent work by the Institute for Family Studies show that among Americans aged 28 to 34 who failed to complete the sequence in order, 53% are poor. By comparison, those who followed the traditional path to adulthood had a 90% chance of being in the middle class or above. 90%. 90%. Those who marry are more satisfied than those who remain single. Let's stop this. Those who marry good men, okay, are more satisfied than those who remain single. Good men. And I don't just mean good on paper. I'm talking about, like I said, he got to have the values, the standards. He can't just be, oh, he look good on paper. Because not all people who have bachelor's degrees are good people. I'm not saying that at all. So you got to really do your work. Dig into the psyche of the person. You got to dig into their cultural experiences. What did they see growing up? Who did they expose themselves to while growing up? That matters. I'm telling you, that really, really matters. Because children only emulate what they've seen. So if you're with a man who's toxic, chances are he came from a toxic household. And that's how he learned his behavior. That's a fact. If you're with somebody who is very argumentative, very combative, don't want to listen to women, very look at who raised him. Look at them. That's what I'm saying, y'all. It matters. Other avenues of research on marriage have shown that it is a powerful effect on health as well as the future success of children. On children, I can guarantee that it does. Okay. Mr. Patel, you gone. Hold on. He's so annoying. All right, I'm only gonna stay for a little bit longer, y'all, and then I gotta go because I gotta meet up with my friend. Let's do a UK study because I know some of y'all are beyond the pond. This is in the UK. Remaining together. This was by the University of Bristol. Sorry, University of Bristol in the UK, 2015. Sorry about that, y'all. Remaining together as a couple, as a stable couple, preserves family resources of time and money, making couples less likely to require state support. Now, they're all about the welfare. They like, we don't want to support y'all. Please get married. For example, 60% of lone parents, so single parents, receive housing benefit compared to 10% of couple families. That is astronomical. Among mothers with children under 5, 87% of the highest earners are married compared to 24% of the lowest earners. So for children under 5, 80% of mothers are married. Our highest earners are married. So if your child's under 5 in the UK and you make a lot of money, more chances are that you are married. These findings reveal that the most better off families get married, giving themselves the chance to remain stable, intact, and better off. In sharp contrast, worse off families do not get married, thereby increasing their risk of not staying together and remaining worse off. So it has been proven that for children, marriage is better. Unfortunately. Cam Newton, looking at you. Nick Cannon, looking at you. All the men in the Hebrew Israelite tribe, looking at you. You can't spread your seed in so many different households. Children need stability. Resilience family. I don't know if y'all saw them on TikTok. Living in that one bedroom. Looking at you. It's super important to ask extremely uncomfortable extremely uncomfortable conversations. Yup, CFT, exactly. Thank you. Yes. Yes, Alana. Yup. I'm going to keep cooking a little bit. Okay, we still got a little bit of time. At the top of the list are mothers whose earnings are in the top 2 deciles. 87% of whom are married, followed by those with a degree. 83% of whom are married. So if you have a degree, you're likely to be married, which means you're likely to have a higher income. Marriage also remains popular among those above middle class, 77%. So you might not be the highest income earner, but if you're in the middle class, you're most likely going to be married. That makes sense because when they started building those suburban neighborhoods, it was for the family unit to be in one area. Those aged 35 to 44, 73% of them are married if they're in the middle class. And those with a mortgage, 72% of them are married. Let me tell y'all, it's all tied together. In sharp contrast, at the bottom of the list are young mothers, ages 16 to 24, of whom 16% are married. Only 24% of mothers in the lowest income groups are married, as are 26% of those living in social housing. This means that if you want to get a house, I'm not saying you can't get one on your own. I'm not saying that at all. At all. You can. It's going to be harder though. It's going to be harder. And the way this inflation is going up, the way these prices are going up, it's going to be harder and harder for you to maintain your life as a single person. Again, I'm not promoting marriage to dusties. I'm not saying that. If you want to remain single and you don't see yourself getting married, this conversation is not for you, because you are going to do well. Just get your education up, get your experience up, focus on your career, climb higher, so that way you can, you can be stable for yourself. You can stabilize yourself. You don't have to live with a man if you don't want to. However, for those of you who are seeking relationships and marriage and partnership, please get married. Do not shack up. It's not going to help you. Do not marry an uneducated man. It's not going to help you. Marry somebody with some sense, some education, and some stability. That's your starting point. And then you got to look at his values. That's another starting point. It's another tier. And then, is he marriageable? Marriage-minded? That usually links hand in hand. Once you have all these factors, regardless of your age, you still can get what you need. Start thinking of love, but also think of your stability as well. Don't just marry for love. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because I used to be the one to be like, oh my God, it's all for love. It's all for love. Love don't pay the bills. Love doesn't raise children to be better humans. Love can only do so much. You got God. That's one aspect. That's great. You got God. Hold on to your values. Make sure your values are aligned. But then you have finances. They got to be aligned too. You can't just have one part of the puzzle and then expect the other part to fit. It doesn't work like that. You need to have both. Start having strategy. If he has everything that you need, but he's less educated, you're going to have to factor that in. You're going to have to see where that's going to put you in the long term. Where is he headed? Where is he? Where is he going? Is he stable? Because he can't hold you down if he can't hold himself down. If he's barely keeping his head above water, he can't help you either. He can't. And you shouldn't be helping him either. You both gotta be able to be stable. He has to be able to have a life raft for you. Can't. If he's drowning and then he wanna shack up, no. No more giving out benefits. No. All right. Oh, there's more. Sorry, y'all. I gotta get through these stats. There's more. Imbalance. Yes. Do not be unequally yoked. Okay, let's just go through world finance, and then I'm gonna give the last advice, because I'm waiting for Dom to come. Dom has to go to, he went to the gym, and then once he comes back, then I gotta log off and go meet my friend. Married couples, this is World Finance Group. World Finance, it's one of the NGOs. Okay, I'll link it up. Married couples, or married people, are more likely to buy homes or make other investments together than people who are cohabitating. We've already said that. Okay, cohabitating couples tend to save and invest less while keeping their finances separate. We've already established that. Okay, in the UK, 31% of cohabitating couples keep their finances completely separate, and just 54% are homeowners, while their finances are in poor health too. You got to keep that in mind. Now, in the US, okay, marriage confers more economic and interpersonal benefits today than in the past, because two-earner families have a huge advantage over single-earner ones. And laws and social values encourage more equality and democracy for all family members. Okay. So, the same economies of scale apply to numerous purchases. Married couples can share cars, household appliances, and furniture, rather than buying the same things independently. Then there's the division of labor. Married couples share the responsibility of looking after their home, meaning that less time is lost compared to those who live alone. Now, again, don't marry a mama's boy. Don't marry a mama's boy. If he watches his mom doing everything for him, do not marry him. I don't care how educated he is. He has to be willing to, I'm sorry. If the man can't pick up his own trash and you got to be mommy dearest to him, this is not going to work. That's why I was saying values also align. No, don't just look at the paper and be like, oh, he educated, I'm going to marry him. No, values. Because my husband's mom, she understood the assignment. She made sure he knew how to do everything on his own, because she's like, there's no way you're going to depend. I don't want you to depend on your wife to do that. That's not going to happen. Okay? You're going to be a man. I'm going to raise you to know how to cook, clean. I'm going to raise you. Your dad going to raise you to know how to do the yard work and all that stuff. But I'm going to raise you in the house too. I don't care. You're my only son. I want you to be well. Independently, whether you marry someone or not. You have to want to teach those kids those skills. Boy moms, the ones who be loving their sons and, oh, my son can't do this. Don't marry him. Do not marry that guy. Do not marry that guy. I'm telling you, that man is going to depend on you, and you are going to be his mommy. Okay? And that's why you're seeing so many of those couples saying, don't get married on TikTok. Don't get married. Don't get married. Don't marry. Because they are literally assuming the role of the mother to their grown husbands. Do not do that. Do not do that to yourself. I promise you, you're going to regret it. Do not marry somebody who he believes that women should be in the household. Again, depending on what you want. If you're somebody who wants to share in the household duties, and you're also, first of all, if you're working outside of the home, this shouldn't even be a discussion. Your man should be able to pick up the slack. He should be able to raise his kids just like you. Because ain't no way you're going outside of the home to go work, and then you have to come home and do a double shift. I think not. Unless it's something that you want to do. If this is your way of acting of service to your man, no problem. But if this is not for you, that lifestyle is not for you, and you want your man to contribute to the household, you better marry somebody who's already independent, who already knows how to do stuff. If he doesn't know how to boil water, I'm not going to sit here and teach you. You better learn yourself. There's YouTube. Listen, we're beyond the stage of teaching people how to treat us, okay? That applies to people. I just want to learn more. I want to learn more about you. No, there's the internet, ChatGPT, Google, look it up. I'm not going to sit here and do your homework for you. You don't know how to boil water, you better go on YouTube. There's so much tutorials. You don't know how to boil pasta? Go on YouTube. You don't know how to clean the floor? YouTube. Go on ChatGPT. You don't know how to raise your children? Get a parenting book. I'll even gift you one. We're not doing this anymore. You got to make sure he knows how to do the work. He can't just be up in the house expecting you to be his mama. No. Romy, no woman can retrain or teach a man. It's not a partner. Exactly. Period. Yeah, it's not my responsibility. It's not. It's not. Now, if he has shown effort and he's really trying his hardest, I don't mind that. But even then, it's like, what are we doing here? Like, you should already know how to do this. Before we get married, that should be on your list. If he doesn't know how to boil water, do all that stuff, you need to learn that. Or else we're not getting married. You need to learn how to do this. Because when you get home, I'm not trying to do this incompetence thing with you. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know. No, we ain't doing that over here. And then another thing that's alarming is some of these men, because they had interviewed these men about what they know about their wives. They asked them, what's the wife's birthday? They don't know. What's your wife's favorite color? They don't know. Who's your wife's boss? They don't know. Do not date somebody who doesn't remember anything about you. You better start asking those questions. When's my birthday? What's my favorite color? That's what I used to do to Dom, y'all. I used to test him. Sometimes we'd be out on dates just randomly while we were dating. And I'd be like, do you remember what my favorite color is? He'd be like, blue. And I was like, yeah, you see. There we go. Do you remember who my first, if I said, like, sometimes we'll have stories, and then if I said something, a few weeks later, I test him on it. I'd be like, remember that time I talked about, oh, yeah, you talked about this. Don't be with a man who don't remember things about you, especially your birthday. Like, this is just embarrassing. But then they're going to remember all the stats of the football players, the way they be. No, don't do that. Do not do that. I'm telling you, that's embarrassing. And people be thinking it's so cute, like, he didn't remember oh my God. Girl, have some respect. Self-respect for yourself. Date somebody who's into you the same way that you're into them. If anything, I'll say more into you than you're into them, but you should both be equally into each other. He has to know things about you. That's bare minimum. All right, sorry to go off on a tangent. All right. So, this is very important. Today, those who are better educated and earn more are also more likely to get and stay married. So one reason the married are wealthier is that today's group of married men and women are more selective. More selective. Which means that they're not just picking anybody. Not picking anybody. They're more selective. Wealthier people are more selective over who they marry, rightfully so. As you should be as well. No matter where you are on the income spectrum, you should be more selective. So all that stuff that you're hearing from some men, especially those in the red pill community, you gotta lower your standards. Don't do that. Don't do that. Another thing they say is, oh, like the older you get, oh, you're gonna hit the wall. That's okay. I'll hit it. Be more selective. They're saying be pickier. That's literally what they're saying. All right. So by the time married couples reach their 50s, married couples generally have about 3 times the assets as their single peers do. Whew. This is a lot, y'all. And then, so there's way more. Whew. All right. I think I'm done here. All right. And one more thing I'll say here is, okay. So case in point. So somebody wrote this. According to a report, a Viva report, nearly 1 in 5 cohabitating respondents are under the false impression. So if you're shacking up, they're under the false impression that they are fully entitled to bereavement benefits. They are not entitled to that. Remember, I said that in a live. Such discrepancies in the law, which are common across the globe. So that means a lot of places worldwide have these laws against common law couples getting property or things like that jointly, or like not jointly, but if they don't have it jointly and the person passes away, then it won't be given to them. Basically, they're saying that. It means that unmarried individuals are more open to financial risk than their married counterparts. Okay? Whew. Men with egalitarian views are now more likely to get married than traditional-minded men and less likely to divorce. Red pill is dying, though. Oh, Alana got questions. That's my friend, y'all. Red pill is dying, though. It's a dying community. But I do feel that people need to be realistic. You can manifest what you want, but be realistic is all I'm saying. No, that's a perfect fact. No, you're right. You got to be realistic. You got to be realistic, too. Okay, so this is what I was saying in the last live. Like, if you want someone to be healthy and you're unhealthy, that's unrealistic. Unrealistic. You can't have that. You can't, and I'm going to be honest. And y'all can't say nothing to me because I'm also thickums. I'm trying to lose weight though. I have to lose weight for my health. But I'm saying that you can't be a big back and expect your man to be a quarterback. That's not going to work out. Okay. I didn't mean for it to come out like that. You can't be big back and expect a quarterback. You can't be working at McDonald's and then you're going to expect your man to be the CEO of McDonald's. It's just not correlating. And I hate to laugh. It's not funny. It's not funny at all. But some people have those expectations. Now, you gotta come with something too. That I gotta tell you that. I gotta be real, y'all. I gotta keep it real. I gotta keep it real. You can't be wanting those things. Like listen. I gotta be honest with y'all though. The delusion is real. The delusion is real. Like you can't expect your man to have all these values and all these standards and you are not even qualified to have those. You're not. And Dom always says it. He says you're a clown. If you can't even back up what you're saying, you're a clown. That's clown behavior. I gotta be honest with y'all. I'm gonna keep it real. So as much as I'm promoting this stuff and I'm like, hey, get you be hypergamous, all these things. Now I'm not saying you gotta be a CEO, but you gotta have something though. You can't. First of all, to be a CEO's wife, you have to have a lot of skills. I'm not even talking about skills like bedroom skills. I'm talking about just people skills. One, you gotta be sharp. You have to be extremely sharp because your man gonna have you in situations where you gotta meet random people at random times. You gotta be able to have conversations with people. You can't just be talking about pop culture like, oh, Glorilla got a song out. No, they don't talk about that stuff. You have to be cultured. You have to be around people in the same circles. Business people talk about business things. You can't talk to business people and you working a shift at Target. And I'm not being mean. I'm not. But I'm just being realistic. Now, if you're a manager at Target, now you can have something to talk about with your CEO because you understand the management side. You understand the supply chain. You understand everything that's going on. So when he starts talking about stuff, you're like, yeah, we got a supply chain too in Target. And But if you're just a store clerk, what are we going to talk about? I'm not saying that store clerks can't be smart. But what I'm trying to say is that it's just a different level of expectations here. You can't want somebody who's higher and then you're just here. It's not gonna work. You gotta meet him halfway, or at least a little bit of the way, right at the borderline. You can't want an educated man and you don't have an education. I'm sorry, sis. It's just not gonna work. You gotta get your education up. The man that you want, you have to be the representation of that. Because you can't want, for me personally, I have to be honest, you can't want something for them, but then you can't do it for yourself. What makes you special? So he has to have it, but then you just get to coast by? What's the point? And this is for, again, my advice is geared towards women. If you're a man, you can apply it to yourself. I don't know. Romy, you're too funny. You're spitting facts. Team, yeah, facts. Dude will hit, but he won't stay around. Yeah, it's true. It's so true. Men will not vocalize it, but they're watching you. And I'm being honest with you. I think one of the things that attracted Dom to me, other than the fact that your girl was fine, you know what I mean? I was looking good at that time. You know, don't let this Romy fool you. But yeah, looking good. But anyway, that's not the only thing that attracted him to me is the fact that he always says it. He was like, I love the fact that you had things going for yourself. You wasn't just there. I was doing things while I was preparing for marriage. Or, like I said, I was single, but I was still wanting to do things for myself. I was trying to reach my own standards. And then it just so happened that I met a man who met my standards. But I was trying to reach my own standard. I was like, you know what? I want to keep growing. I want to keep doing more. I want to keep elevating myself. I don't want to stay in the same position. I also come from a lower income family. I'm not middle class at all. Now I'm middle class. But I started from the bottom, y'all. I started from the bottom. I remember working call center jobs. I was working minimum wage jobs, and I just kept hitting just kept going. I was like, I want more for myself. I want to do this. I want more for myself. Let me go back to school. I want more for myself. I want to do this. I want to do that. And because I was surrounded by people who also had the same mindset, I wasn't around chicken head bird friends. All my friends. Matter of fact, Alana got questions. I'm gonna have to clock your tea right now. I have to clock your tea. Alana got questions. Went back to school to get her bachelor's degree. Alana got questions. Did that. That's my homie. That's my friend from back in the day. She's in the chat right now. Tell me you didn't do that, friend. You elevated yourself. You didn't just stay stagnant. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't let it be an excuse for you to want someone who has more, but you're not reaching those standards. While you're wanting that for your spouse, you better make sure that you're also working towards those standards too. So when you guys meet each other, you have it together. I did. Haha. No, it's true. You did. And I love that for you, friend. We both did. So it's like, it's never too late to want to have standards for yourself. Good for her. Congratulations. Yeah, she did her thing. She did her thing. She did her thing. And she got a son. That's what I'm saying. There's no excuse at all. At all. No excuse at all. You have to want things for yourself. So don't let it limit you. If you, whatever situation you're in today doesn't define who you will be tomorrow and who you'll be in the next 10 years. Things can change at a rapid pace. I'm going to wrap it up though. Now, in the U.S., couples who share childcare and housework now report the highest marital and sexual satisfaction. In Europe, especially in countries with good work family support systems, dual earner couples are now less likely to divorce than couples with a single breadwinner. So not only do you have to marry someone who's educated, he also has to have egalitarian views. He has to see you as a human being and not just as an object. There's a lot of levels to this, ladies. I know some of y'all gonna be like, this is hard work, it's so difficult, but guess what? When you at a job, you gotta do a lot of hard work too. I know y'all be learning new things all the time, new trainings, training development. You gotta do all that. You gotta do all that. All that. You can't just, you know what I mean? You can't just want to just, oh, it's too much work, so I'm not gonna try. It's consistency. Everything, and I'm learning that with everything in life, including weight loss. The reason why my weight loss is so stagnant is because I was inconsistent. I would do one thing and then stop. But you gotta keep going. We gotta hold each other accountable. Now, I'm gonna give you guys some topics that I'm going to talk about the next chat. Because I talked a little bit about the stats. I didn't expect to go this much over, but that's okay. Because I think like this is gonna be the segue to the next chat that I have. Next chat, we're gonna talk about interracial marriage, okay? Now, this is what you can look forward to in the next chat. I'm going to talk about how to vet men while dating out. I'm going to talk about my experience in an interracial marriage. Spotting red flags. We're going to talk about that. Okay? And then we're going to talk about cultural differences. And also we're going to talk about if you're going to have children, what to expect or what to look out for. Because marrying interracially is also another, I got to talk about it in another video. Because now today, I didn't expect to just talk about the stats of being married. But now that we've learned you got to date out, you're going to probably have to have different experiences to get a good partner in marriage. We're going to talk about how to find those partners and what to look for when you're dating someone, especially someone from a different cultural background than you. Because there's levels to this. Like, you can't just blindly just say, oh, we're just going to date out and then that's it. Especially as a Black person, I'll be honest with y'all. We have to be extra vigilant about people we let into our lives. Okay? So, on that note, I'm going to end today's chat. I think I talked a lot. Woo, I'm hot too. I was here since 7 o'clock, y'all. I've been talking for 2.5 hours. So, I am going to bid you guys farewell now. I'm trying to figure out how to keep the chat going. Hold on a second. Because last time, you guys couldn't see the chat in the video. Sorry, y'all. I'm just doing this weird stuff. I'm trying to figure it out. Real. Okay, hold on, y'all. Oh, Dom's back too. Perfect timing. Okay. I'm going to try to figure out how to keep the chat in there. I don't know how. Bye, boo. Have a good day. Have a good day, boo. We gonna talk soon. We gonna talk, y'all. Hold on. Let me try to highlight. Okay, highlight saved in your channels up to 5. Okay, good. I'm trying to figure out how to save these questions. But anyways, y'all, bye. It was fun having you guys. Next week, it will be at the same time. Sorry about that, y'all. It's gonna be like... Should I wake up early for the live? It look like a lot of y'all are up early. Okay, I might make it again for the same time. It was great listening to this. I'm so happy y'all are enjoying these chats, man. I feel like I could talk more freely on lives. Next week, yeah, definitely for those of you who are wanting to date interracially, let's chat about that. Thank you for the information valuable. You're welcome. You're welcome. And, you know, each one teach one. Each one teach one. And I like learning from you guys, too. Have a great day at the Dev Studio. Have a great day, too. CFT, knowledge is power. Have a great day, y'all. Have a great day, sis. And love this so much. S-Light. S-Light! I haven't seen your name before, but welcome. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. Little mama, Romeo, big sis. The big one, not the little one. Exactly. I have to be because, like I said, you know, I'm just seeing so much misinformation going on, especially in social media. It's hard to know who to trust, who not to trust. But your sis got you because I back what I say with stats. I don't just talk. I don't just talk. We like to back things up with stats so that way you know how to make informed decisions. We don't like just people talking nonsense and fear mongering. We're not gonna do that. Especially when they're trying to attack your education. Oh, women are too highly educated, and so be it. Be more educated, matter of fact, because we're showing that it works out better that way than the opposite. You're new. Well, welcome to the family. Hope to see you next week. So I'm gonna log off. Yeah, let me try to figure out how to get this chat going on my video, and I will see y'all next Saturday. Love you guys. Bye.